Have you ever felt like you're doing everything but not going anywhere? You're constantly working, constantly saying yes, but you're not moving forward. What if I told you that success doesn't come from doing more, but doing less with more focus? That's the idea behind essentialism. And there is no better example of this than Apple, a company that was on the verge of bankruptcy till it welcomed the power of saying no. And in 2018, Apple became the first company in US history to hit $1 trillion valuation. Today, we're going to explore how Steve Jobs saved Apple from bankruptcy and how you can use the same mindset to take back control of your time, your goals, and your life. What is essentialism? Essentialism is the disciplined pursuit of less but better. It's about filtering out the noise, the trivial things, and focusing entirely on what truly matters right now. The author of the book, Essentialism, Greg McKeown, says, if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. You see, we get caught up in this idea that we have to get everything done. We have to do it all, be it all, please everyone. But the fact is, when you try to do everything, you don't do anything really well. And essentialism helps you break out of that chain and helps you focus on what matters right now. So instead of asking, how can I do it all? You ask, what is the most important thing I should focus on right now? That question will help you feel less overwhelmed and it will help you focus more on your priorities. Let's go back to 1996. Apple was in serious trouble. They were close to bankruptcy. During that time, Apple had over 350 products. They were making printers, softwares, they were making random accessories that nobody needed. They were trying to please everyone and trying to do everything. But by doing that, they were not doing anything really well. Apple had lost a sense of direction. They were no longer clear what they stood for. Sales were declining, competitors were moving forward, and Apple was becoming irrelevant. But then Steve Jobs came back to Apple. And the very first thing he did was ask a very simple but powerful question. What's 2 or 3 things that we can be the best at in the world? See, Steve Jobs knew that Apple needed clarity. Apple needed a sense of direction. And by asking this simple but powerful question, Steve Jobs came for the rescue of Apple. Jobs cut over 70% of Apple's product lines. He reduced it from 350 to just 4. That was a radical decision, and people thought he was crazy. But he knew that focus was the only way back for Apple. He introduced the famous product grid, a 2x2 matrix where the company focuses on consumer versus pro, desktop versus portable. This was born out of an essentialist approach. Not by doing more, not more features, but doing less, but better. And this essentialist approach gave us the iMac, then the iPod, and then the most revolutionary product of this century, the iPhone. Steve Jobs once said, people think that focus means to saying yes to the things that you should focus on, but that's not what it means. It means saying no to all the other 100 good ideas. By focusing on what truly matters, Apple simplified its operations by making the manufacturing and assembly process more streamlined. They started doing branding that was more minimalistic, and they've created some products that have shaped generations. Apple was worth less than $3 billion in 1997, and by 2018, they became the first trillion-dollar company in history. And that didn't happen by doing more, but by doing less. And it wasn't just a one-time thing. Essentialism became part of Apple's DNA. They started making simple product lines, minimalistic branding. Even their packaging is essentialist. Every design is intentional. Every is stripped away. It's not just branding, it's a philosophy. I've got a good news for you. You don't need to run a tech company to apply essentialism to your life. Here's 4 things you can do right now, and the fourth one is the most important. Number 1, do a priority audit. What are you doing that isn't moving the needle? Sit down, look at your schedule all day, and see what are the things that are trivial, the noise that you can eliminate. Number 2, learn to say no. Warren Buffett said that the most successful people say no to almost everything because they know most things are noise and unnecessary. Number 3, focus on one thing at a time. If you were given 4 hours to do something, you are better off spending those 4 hours just focusing on one. If you focused on 2 projects, you would make 50% progress. Better to complete one project and then doing 2 different ones. Number 4, and the most important, use the 90% rule. If it's not a 9 or 10 out of 10, it's a no. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. If you're trying to do something, or if you're hanging out with friends and you don't feel 100% about it, just don't do it. If you have to think about it, it's a no. Remember, success isn't about doing more, it's about doing what's most important. Steve Jobs saved Apple by using essentialism. He made the hard choices. He said no to a lot of good ideas to say yes to what was most important, and see what difference it has made. So the question is, what can you eliminate from your life right now? What noise are you willing to cut? Because on the other side of less is more focus, more impact, and more peace. If this video helped you, drop a like, subscribe, and show in comments what you're willing to cut from your life right now. Stay focused, stay essential.